Well, YouTube, the NFL is finally back. Welcome back to the NFL Football Preview Show. This is your man Dylan coming to you once again live from the wonderful state of North Carolina, where it is bright and sunny and just perfect outside and great weather for football. College football had their moment last week. Now it's time to get ready for the NFL season. That kicks off tomorrow. Woo! So let's go ahead and get started. So my week one featured matchup will be the 425 National doubleheader window game featuring a NFC North rivalry renewed between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. NFL Today show is going to be there on CBS. It's going to be a world brace for impact. The NFL season is finally here. But I'll discuss this matchup along with a bunch of other matchups this week. But as usual with week one, for those of you new to the show, this is how we're going to do the show every week. I will discuss a bunch of games. Most of them will be the marquee games like Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football and the future 425 game. There will be some 1 o'clock games though in there, depending on importance, stuff like that. And of course, I'll be talking about all the holiday matchups. I will not discuss every matchup. I will have quick picks for some of them, but the other matchups, more like 4 to 6 every week, we're going to have major breakdowns and discussions for each of those matchups. So, buckle up. Let's get started. So, announcer teams on CBS and Fox. We know the names. You know the top teams at both networks. We got Jim Nantz and Tony Romo in their 10th season together, I believe, for CBS. Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady will be on the call for their second straight season as the lead team on Fox. Iron Eagle is now partnered with J.J. Watt, which is going to be a nice combo. Charles Davis moved down to the number 14 with Andrew Catalon. All the other teams stay the same. Nothing really excessive there. But now, let's get started with some picks. So, quick picks for the 1 o'clock matchups. These are the 6 games I'm really not going to spend too much time talking about. The teams highlighted in red and the maroon color for Washington is who I have winning in this one. Of course, I have the announcer teams and all of that stuff labeled there. But I've got Cincinnati, I've got Miami, I've got Jacksonville, New England, Arizona, and Washington winning all those 1 o'clock games. The interesting ones, Battle of Ohio and Cincinnati Cleveland will be a fun one. I think the Raiders and the Patriots will be a fun one. And I think the Giants and the Washington might be a sneaky good game. That's why they gave Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady that matchup to begin with. The other ones I'm not really so interested in. So, at the 4 o'clock window, we've got 3 games. I'm really not interested in all 3 of these. Denver's going to mop the floor with Tennessee and won't be even close. Give me San Francisco on the road, and then give me the Rams at home as the alternate 425 game, also on CBS with Kevin Harlan and Trent Green and Melanie Collins on the call for that one. But now, let's get into the matchups that we all care about. Starting tomorrow night with the season opener on NBC is a NFC East rivalry renewed between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark will be on the call for this one. They will also call the Sunday night game between Buffalo and Baltimore, which we'll discuss later on. Now, in Dallas, they have a brand new head man. Replacing McCarthy is going to be Brian Schottenheimer. Again, another Schottenheimer in the NFL. We know his dad, what was his name? Marty Schottenheimer. He was there in Cleveland. He was there in Kansas City for a hot moment. But he's his son, so Brian Schottenheimer will be the new head coach, formerly the offensive coordinator. Dallas went 7-10 a season ago. It was the first time they missed the playoffs in 5 years. And on the other side, we've got the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. They went 14-3 in the regular season and went on to just win 4 postseason games. All of them, well, all 3 of them before the Super Bowl, where they were the home team because they were the number 1 seed. But they will be taking on a Cowboys team that who knows where it's going to bring to you. So, the big story with Dallas was that last Thursday, Micah Parsons got traded to the Green Bay Packers, and that kind of, I wouldn't say gave a bad vibe to Dallas. It definitely made Jerry Jones look like an idiot, but Dallas was pretty much already preparing for that matchup without him. So it wasn't like, oh my god, we have to change the whole game plan if we're Dallas. With Philadelphia, they have won 3 straight against the Dallas Cowboys. They have now won 4 straight since the 03-04 seasons combined. So, I mean, this one should live up to the hype. Philadelphia right now is a whopping 8.5-point favorite at home. Full disclaimer, I will take Dallas at plus 8.5, non-negotiable. I don't think anyone's going to be covering any kind of spread, especially if you're the home favorite. You're not covering. Just live with that. But when it comes down to just the X's and the O's, we know on top of the Micah Parsons drama, Dallas got George Pickens from Pittsburgh, and they still got CeeDee Lamb, they still got Dak Prescott, they still got someone there as their running back. I believe that was Javonte Williams is the new number one running back in Dallas. So who knows what that's going to turn into? They got Jake Ferguson as a tight end. So I mean they've got the parts and pieces, but I'm just not sure that we were to compete on the road with Philadelphia putting up that new Super Bowl banner and Saquon Barkley running all over them last season. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But I'm going to take the safe bet. I'm going to take Philadelphia at home to win this one. Dallas will cover the 8.5-point spread. But I think it's going to be a lot tighter than the experts are thinking, at least on ESPN and at the sports books. But give me Philadelphia for the win and Dallas plus 8.5. But that game is tomorrow night. Now, the second game will be on Friday night. Also exclusively on YouTube, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Of course, Kansas City is the two-time defending AFC champion. They have won 3 AFC titles in the last 4 years. And, of course, their season ended with a Super Bowl 59 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. They went 15-2 in the regular season. And that came with a lot of question marks, a lot of scratching your head moments of, would they really deserve 15 wins? Personally, I don't think they did. They got away with some calls, especially against like Atlanta, Cincinnati. I mean, we can look at the games last year and we can reflect on those, but we did it all last season. We're not going to look on to the future. They were taking on a Chargers team that was ahead of schedule in year one with Jim Harbaugh a season ago. Of course, Jim Harbaugh made the news after getting the show cause penalty with Michigan and all that stuff, and people are asking should he get NFL punishment, and I'm indifferent to all that. I think that doesn't matter. Just whoever is coaching the Chargers is coaching the Chargers. If it's him, great. If it's not, I don't care. Their season ended last year in a wild card loss after Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions against the Houston Texans, and prior to that, he had thrown only 3 the entire regular season. They were number 1 in defense when it came to points per game allowed at just under 18 points, and they were tied third in turnover margin with a plus 12 differential. I mean, that is fantastic. If they keep that up with a good offense, this is a team that could try to hunt down Kansas City and try to deny them their 10th straight division title in the AFC West. Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner will be on the call 8 o'clock, again, exclusively on YouTube. If you have YouTube TV, I think they'll also have that there, but just go to YouTube and make your life easy. The Chargers are a 3-point underdog as the home team, even though they're playing this game in São Paulo, Brazil. So, Kansas City's offense has been kind of stagnant for the last 3 years or so. It's just there hasn't been a lot of deep ball attacks, and Patrick Mahomes came out in the offseason and said, we're going to bring back that bomb passing, that the stuff that got him on the map, essentially. And we know the Chargers, they're going to have a run-first offense. They're going to try to chew clock, limit the possessions, and run stuff like that. Now, I think, personally, while I do not like the Chiefs, and I do not like the Chargers at any moment because of, well, I don't like their coach. I don't like Mahomes and company and stuff like that. And by the way, congratulations Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Whoop, whoop. Do I care? Not really, but, just got to mention him. But I think this one is going to be very interesting, especially since they're in Brazil. I think they're going to have a pro Los Angeles crowd with this one, so I think that's going to help. And I think the Chargers are going to get off to a surprise start. I think they're going to upset the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. They're going to go to 1-0. Surprise a lot of people. We're going to have a lot of questions about Kansas City after they lose this one. But give me the Chargers as the home team, and they will cover that 3-point underdog spread. All right, moving on to the exclusive 1 o'clock matchup that I am absolutely most fascinated with, and I don't think this is a popular game that a lot of people are paying attention to. That would be a NFC South rivalry renewed between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. I think this is going to be a fascinating matchup because of just the storylines with both teams, the players that are in it, and plus anything in Atlanta, it's just interesting. The games always get interesting at the end. There's high drama. It's the best. Tampa Bay, a season ago, they have won, I believe, their 4th straight NFC South title when they got upset, though, by the Washington Commanders in the wildcard round at home as the 3 seed. Atlanta finished 8-9, had a strong start to the season, started the season 6-3, I believe, before falling off and Kirk Cousins getting injured and stuff like that. Atlanta's last postseason appearance was 2017 when they lost the Super Bowl after having that 28-3 league with Matt Ryan, the quarterback, losing to Tom Brady and the Patriots. So, with this one, I think this is going to be high offense all over the place. You've got Bijan Robinson in Atlanta there. We've got the new quarterback in there too with Michael Penix Jr. He's going to be solid stuff. Drake London can bring the parts. Kyle Pitts is kind of an afterthought, but he can always have a breakout performance. Ray McCloud. I mean, you've got all the parts and pieces. Then on the Tampa Bay side, of course, headlined by their revived quarterback, to say the least. Baker Mayfield. We got Bucky Irving, the second-year running back who had a terrific rookie season. We've got Mike Evans, the ageless Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, got Emeka Ibuka, their first-round draft pick in this last year's draft. Cade Otton at tight end. And, of course, Tristan Wirfs, who is injured this one, but, I mean, he's going to be like their focal point on the line. So it's got all the offensive pieces. It's going to come down to who's going to get to 30 points first, honestly. In this one, I will take Tampa Bay on the road, barely in this one. But I do have Atlanta covering that 2.5 point spread. Again, if you are favored on either as a road favorite or as a home favorite, I'm not taking this week because week one brings high drama and usually no one covers spreads until like weeks 3 or 4 because everyone's trying to get ready and get into the season a little bit. But I would take Tampa Bay on the road in this one. They will win, but I got Atlanta covering the 2.5 point spread. All right, the other 1 o'clock matchup that's bringing lots of noise and drama will be a matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets, two teams that have such turbulent stuff going on. And we got Pittsburgh, who, of course, the big news is that they got Aaron Rodgers and they extended TJ Watt in the offseason. Pittsburgh, though, has been kind of an afterthought ever since Big Ben has left. They have not won a postseason game since 2016. I mean, it's been 8 years, almost 9 years now, so it sounds insane. They did finish 10-7, continue to have a winning record under Mike Tomlin for all his years in Pittsburgh, but they did lose in the wildcard round on the road as a sixth seed against the Baltimore Ravens. The Jets, on the other hand, new head coach. They got Aaron Glenn, the former Detroit defensive coordinator. They went 5-12 in what was Aaron Rodgers' last season with the Jets. Their last postseason opponents, if you thought Atlanta's has been a long time, their last postseason opponents with the Jets was 2010, and it has been a rough 15 years for them. Iron Eagle, J.J. Watt, and Evan Washburn will be on the call for CBS. This will be the focal point 1 o'clock game on CBS. And honestly, I mean, it's got so much written into it. And it's just going to be exciting because who knows what both these teams are going to be. We've got Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old, still starting as an NFL quarterback. Aaron Rodgers did come out and said this is going to be like his farewell tour. This is going to be his last season. So he's going to take on his former team in the first game, which is going to be insane. But taking on a stingy defense with Sauce Gardner and all those parts and pieces and with the Jets. And of course, Jets got a new quarterback too with Justin Fields, who formerly was with the Pittsburgh Steelers for a hot moment. I mean, there's so many connections. It's insane how many there are with this matchup. But to be perfectly honest, when it really comes down to who do I have more faith in? Who do I have who has a better history with them? Who's got a more reliable offense, in my opinion? Personally, Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, who they got from Seattle, and their other wide receiver that they got, which I'm going to try to find on the roster in a hot moment here. They got, I think it was Calvin Austin, but anyways, they got all those parts and pieces along with TJ Watt. I just think it's going to be a Pittsburgh dominated matchup. Justin Fields is not going to know what hit him that day. I would take Pittsburgh on the road, but I will take Pittsburgh minus 2.5. I have them getting a game-winning field goal to walk it off against the Jets. So give me Pittsburgh minus 2.5, and they will get the road dub to start the season 1-0. All right, shifting gears now to the 4 o'clock matchup, the premier 425 game. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wilson on the call for the NFC North rematch, renewed my featured matchup of the week, which will be Detroit and Green Bay. So many things are going to this thing, and on top of all that, you got Micah Parsons coming to the Packers. Now, this thing he's going to need a shot of epidural to relieve his back pain. I'll get to that later. Now, with the Detroit side, we know the story with them. They went 15-2, by far their best regular season in franchise history, but it came to a screeching halt when they lost in the divisional round as the number 1 seed to the Washington Commanders, who eventually went on to lose against Philadelphia in the NFC title game. But with all the momentum that they averaged 33 points a game. by far number one in the league. They were top 10 in defense. They had a +9 turnover margin. You had everything going with them. We thought at the end, before the playoffs last season, this was going to be the team to beat. This team was going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. There's a reason why Detroit hasn't made a Super Bowl yet. It's because they're not very good with the momentum. But the big news with Detroit is that they lost their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. He went to in-division rival Chicago, which we will discuss in a moment. And then, of course, Aaron Glenn went to the Jets. So you've got brand new coordinators, brand new system in place. Of course, Dan Campbell's still there, so you know he's going to go for at least like probably 3 or 4 fourth downs because you know him. But they got those question marks in Detroit. On the flip side with Green Bay, this was an 11-6 football team that finished third in their division. Insane. You never hear this kind of stuff. They lost in the wild card round to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Who cares? But like Detroit, top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense when it comes to points allowed, and had a better turnover margin than Detroit did. I mean, it's insane. And not to mention, you've got Micah Parsons coming to you for the next 4 years. Now, do I think Micah Parsons will walk in there on Sunday and be like, okay, we're going to dominate this game? No, because he doesn't know the playbook. So I doubt he's going to be, oh yeah, he's going to be, the mastermind that we all think he's going to be in 5 minutes. Green Bay is a 2.5-point favorite at home. This one is the second highest over-under, if that's even worthy of note, at 47.5. This one is going to be points galore in this one. Of course, on the defense side with Detroit, you've got Brian Branch, and you've got, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you've got Sam Laporta, and you've got Jameson Williams. And then on Green Bay's side, you've got Jordan Love running the show. And you've got Jaden Reed, you got Matthew Golden, you got Romeo Doubs, you've got Tucker Kraft, tight end, you got Josh Jacobs leading the backfield. You've got the parts and pieces. So this is probably going to be the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. But with all of that said, with all the uncertainty with the coordinators in Detroit, and with Micah Parsons coming in to Green Bay and all that stuff, it's going to be a massive matchup. It could, determine a lead or a division winning game, essentially, in week 1 for the NFC North. This could help determine number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. So many things. I just think Detroit kind of lost their edge at the end of last season because of the way things ended. You had all the momentum, and then it just came to a screeching halt. And I think Green Bay is on a mission to reclaim supremacy in that division. So I would take the Green Bay Packers at home. They will cover the 2.5-point spread with a game-winning field goal. Of course, NFL Today show on CBS will be live in front of Lambeau Field the entire day for the pregame show. So that's going to be awesome to see. So check out the pregame show, but I'll take Green Bay at home and this one to go to 1-0. All right, my last 2 matchups will be Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football is going to feature a AFC divisional round rematch from a season ago between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Of course, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth and Melissa Stark will be on the call on NBC. This is going to be so much fun because of the way it ended last season when Mark Andrews dropped in a 2-point conversion to tie that game up and 10% of that game to overtime. We know what happened with Baltimore. 12-5. They ran that division. They have points galore. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry run the show, Zay Flowers, and all the parts and pieces. Plus the defense with Kyle Hamilton. After week 10, they absolutely shut it down. So that's going to be fascinating to see. On the Buffalo side, 13-4. A theme for them, they lost in the AFC title game against the Kansas City Chiefs. These two teams were 2-3 in points per game on offense. Baltimore was number 1 at almost 425 yards a game a season ago. And not to mention, both of them were strong on defense. The thing with Buffalo is that they preyed on turnovers. They had by far the best turnover margin at plus 24. It wasn't even close with the gap between first and second. Not even close. But the thing is, I think Baltimore is just on a mission. They're looking to get... They know the writing on the wall with them. Lamar Jackson can't win the big game. That's what they're all thinking. It's what every sports writer, including myself, have thought ever since he came in the league. He can't win the big game. Well, he's going to try to quiet those rumors. I think he's going to do with a strong running attack that's going to be big-time possession of the football. I want to take Baltimore on the road to get the rematch win against Buffalo. They will cover the 1.5-point spread as the road favorite, which is a rare road favorite Give me Baltimore on the road to go get the win in Orchard Park, which will be Buffalo's last season at Highmark Stadium before they move to the new stadium next season. All right, and then my last matchup will be Monday Night Football on ESPN and ABC. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters on the call on ESPN, and the Manning brothers will also be doing their Manning cast on ESPN2, so be on the lookout for that. But this features the other two teams in the NFC North. It's going to feature the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears with so many question marks. You want to talk about question marks? This one's got so many question marks. Chicago is a 1.5 point underdog at home. So, starting with Minnesota, we know what happened to them. We've got J.J. McCarthy now as the front runner, the starting quarterback for the team. Sam Darnold went to Seattle. God, I hope he does well. They went 14-3. This was the talk of the offseason with the playoff format, was that they went 14-3 and were the 5 seed in the wild card. They had a better record than the 4 seed Tampa Bay and the 3 seed, which was, I believe, was the Rams, I believe. They had better records than both of them, and they were on the road for the entirety of the postseason. Granted, that was only one game when they lost to the Rams. So, we got all that conversation. And not to mention, you have uncertainty at quarterback. You've got Justin Jefferson. You've got all the other pieces there. But the quarterback, the big question mark. On the Chicago side, a brand new head coach in Ben Johnson, who I said earlier was coming from Detroit as the former offensive coordinator. He's going to try to help revive a Chicago offense led by Caleb Williams that looked absolutely trash last year. We're in the bottom 5 points per game on offense. Good turnover margin, just crap offense, and decent defense. Went 5-12 in 2024-25. The thing with Chicago is that we want them to do well because we feel kind of bad for them. They've been sucky for a long time. We thought they had their quarterback with Mitch Trubisky before the double doink. And after the double doink, they have sunk. And I mean sunk so low. They have been an afterthought in their own division. They've been an afterthought with just everything going on in the NFC, in the NFL. It's been an afterthought for them. You thought a logo change would help with that. But here's the thing. Chicago just needs a fresh coat of paint. And Ben Johnson could offer that for them. Minnesota, it seems like the old dud news. It's just the same thing. It's very vanilla. You've got Justin Jefferson, but the question mark quarterback it looms so large for me. So, in a surprise ending to week number 1, because crazy things happened in week 1, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears at home to go win against their division rival, the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to cover the 1.5 underdog spread, and they're going to go 1-0, and really surprising people after Monday night. But again, who knows what's going to happen with this one. But give me Chicago at home to wrap up week number 1. All right, this wraps up week number 1 of the NFL football season preview. NFL is back tomorrow night on NBC featuring the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, reigning Super Bowl champions. So, who knows what's going to happen? Week 1 always brings such enjoyment, drama, and just excitement all across the league and all across the country. So, find your TV, hook up, find that NFL Football Sunday ticket, or go to your local Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, go where you gotta go. Enjoy week number 1, and I'll be seeing you next week in week number 2. Have a great day.